All right, I've had like half a second to start looking into theories in general of One Piece, and we're going to start with theories surrounding Blackbeard. And I'm having so much fun with this. We're going to start off with what I generally thought before, like looking into more things, and where I thought the story was going with Blackbeard, my theories with him, before going into the absolute favorite theory that I found here on YouTube, and I love it. It's my perfect amount of crazy and plausible, and I'm convinced. I'm convinced this is going to happen. I love it so very much. All right, so where I thought the story starting off was going would be Blackbeard is, like literally is, Rox D. Zebek. I figured his soul was in his body. There are a couple different reasons for this. Number one, you're not going to convince me that Blackbeard doesn't have multiple either personalities or souls, or something about him specifically allows him to use multiple devil fruits. On top of that, his Jolly Roger had the 3 heads. I'm like, all right, 3 personalities, and plus his main boat is literally named, I think it's like Scabbard of Zebek. He's a student of history. He's research. He definitely knows about the Rocks pirates, and we know he's a student of history. So I'm like, okay, I'm going with he literally is Zebek. So how did Rox's soul get into Blackbeard's body? Well, the timeline works perfectly because God Valley incident when Rox died was 38 years ago. And in the introduction of the story, the Wiki lists Blackbeard as being 38 years old. So he would have been a baby at the time of the God Valley incident. Some of the theories I look at say he was around 2 years old, so I'm not sure where the timeline is, but he was a child and alive during this incident. We're going to sidestep the fact that there is a canon literal baby that was there during the God Valley incident, being Shanks. So if I really wanted to go into tinfoil hat theory, Zebek's soul is in Shanks, and he's framing Blackbeard because Shanks has a devil fruit that allows him to shapeshift, and he's framing Blackbeard for all this. And that time he saved Luffy, he was standing on a very floating, buoyant piece of wood or something. Just know I could go crazier with these theories, but we're gonna stay serious, semi-serious, as serious as I can stay with tinfoil hat theories. All right, so how did Rock's soul get into baby Blackbeard during this time? Because he is losing the fight. 2 different options. One, this is the one I do like, that he had eaten a devil fruit, we'll get to that later, during the attack on God Valley, during which time he is trying to take revenge, again, we'll get to that later, on the Celestial Dragons and their slaves, which led to Garp and Roger teaming up. The devil fruit may have a similar effect of Brooks that allows one to be resurrected. Zebek couldn't find his own soul, so went into baby Blackbeards at this time. Much simpler answer, Big Mom is standing right there. Zebek is dying, and he's like, all right, I gotta run too. Let me save my captain. I will take your soul. There's a child. That child hopefully will live. Peace out. I'm gone. Kaido will fight each other later. Rocks pirates disbanded. Now, what's getting me is the idea that Garp and Roger had to team up to take this man down. So he was a serious enough threat that it would put Garp willing to fight to protect the slaves of the Celestial Dragons and work with a pirate. So whatever their plan was had a genuine chance of working. And my initial thought is that we know that the Celestial Dragons had a habit, because of Boa, of taking devil fruits and forcing their slaves to eat them for entertainment purposes. So they were doing something to collect devil fruit. So I want to say that Zebek was after a specific devil fruit. My thought being it may actually have been the dark fruit, which is why Blackbeard spent so much time trying to get it. Or there's another devil fruit, we'll get into that as well. But why the dark fruit? Don't get me wrong, incredibly powerful, but I mean, what's wrong with the flame fruit or the magma one? Like, what made this one so special? Well, if we look at it compared to Luffy's devil fruit, they are awfully similar. So I'm going with either they thought it was the Nika fruit, but more likely these 2 fruits are related, and it's another devil fruit in disguise. So it's not actually a Logia type, it is the Zoan devil fruit, a god devil fruit just like Luffy's. And this is when boring Jessica is just like, oh yeah, okay, so human fruit, model Hades, or maybe it's model Cerberus, like it's something like that. Boring, predictable, easy. No, no. Then I start going into YouTube and I find this glorious video where it is someone, what's the username? It's like 333 VIL, so I think it's evil and the threes are E's, but love this channel. This is my brand of crazy. At first I thought it was too crazy, even for me. I was wrong. It is this is canon as far as I'm concerned. So, starting with the idea that Blackbeard had eaten the mythical type fish fruit model kraken. And the evidence for this is beautiful. First of all, the kraken or octopus has 3 hearts, and then the Blackbeard flag has the 3 heads. I'm like, that's pushing it. That's a little much. Too crazy for even me. No, there is legit evidence for this. So starting with the cover spread, you have Usopp with an octopus, and it's writing his story, telling lies and yada yada. We know all Usopp's lies come true. But I'm like, at first the evidence is, well, he's wearing the same hat as Blackbeard did in a flashback. And I'm like, it's a hat. That's nothing. Looking at Usopp's hat, you see a symbol related to Blackbeard. Not his Jolly Roger, because that'd be too obvious, but the symbol on like the mast that's coming up from the ship. I'm like, okay, you have my attention. And then we go into when Blackbeard first used like 2 devil fruits, and someone had asked, like, has anyone ever used 2 devil fruits before? Is this possible? What's going on? What is he? That man is wearing an octopus on his head for no reason. And I'm like, wait a minute. And then they break down the bounties. So it's 3,996, which is San Kokoro, if you break down like 3996, which literally translates to 3 hearts. And I'm like, all right, I'm already sold. Then you have Pirate Island named Hashinosu. Hashi meaning 8. And I'm like, oh my god, 8 legs of the octopus. This is wonderful. And the full word translates closer to honeycomb or the process of like being riddled with bullets. I'm like, yeah, pirate would definitely name that. And they might also like that 8 was in the name. So I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, this is canon. I didn't even need to put the tinfoil hat on at this point in time. We'll get to my added tinfoil hat stuff because it's just plain narrative ridiculous. Now I want to talk about the teeth. So I'm sure this had been floating around the internet before, but I first noted on Grand Line reviews. So essentially there's been an inconsistency with how Blackbeard's been drawn, and that being the number of teeth and the placement of the teeth that are missing in his character design. Normally they're in one position, but sometimes they're in other positions. This could just be a continuity error. Mistakes happen, you're drawing, there's many characters. Except what got me was 2 things. One, there are panels where he has the full set of teeth. I can completely get behind the idea that when drawing, Oda had just mistakenly put the teeth missing in the wrong spot, but to completely forget that any teeth were missing at all, I'm like, that's a little bit of a, would he really do that with so much attention to detail? I'm like, oh, mistakes happen, it's fine. Then I've been told, like, they are not corrected. Normally, when a continuity error happens on the original release, they are fixed for the official publications in the physical volume, and I would imagine on the Viz website, but they're still there. Those inconsistencies are still in the Viz one. I haven't been able to go to my local bookstore to take a look at a physical copy to see if it's still there, but I've been told they are. I'm like, that has to be intentional then, or else they would have fixed those mistakes. So it's not a mistake. Now, Grand Line Reviews is just like, that might be a little bit too tinfoil hat for me. I'm like, it's never too tinfoil hat for me. I love it. So my initial thought was still with the Cerberus kind of thing, and there's 3 of them. But the idea of there being multiple Blackbeards that could possibly fuse all into one body, or the fact that when Zebek's soul switches out with Blackbeard, essentially the body change and morphs a little bit, and that's why the teeth are changing. I feel like it's a perfectly reasonable explanation for why this continuity error is still there. I probably should be wearing the tinfoil hat for that section of the theory. But then, again, came across the glorious Kraken theory. And I'm like, what do we know about Krakens? Do they even regrow teeth? I'm like, wait a minute. The only Kraken that we have met in the series, first of all, side note, is from the north, which is a cold place. Luffy had been told that people from the cold areas do not sleep. He was probably lied to, but he might have been told that by Shanks, who had met Blackbeard, and we know he knew that he did not sleep. ever, never. And I'm like, oh God. And we also just heard about the Luffy hearing that people don't sleep if they're from cold areas when we went to Drum Island and we met Chopper, who has the human fruit. And I'm thinking, Blackbeard had been told to us in that island. And what if, because again, I'm still on my boring theory that it's a human fruit model Hades, that he was looking for another Zogan human fruit, found that one, it's just like, oh, it's not the one I want. I need the human model god ones. So he left that one alone. But maybe there might be something there. Where was I? Something about teeth. Oh, yes. So the kraken that we meet in Fishman Island from the cold environment has a brother. I'm like, what if Blackbeard also has a brother? There could technically be multiple Blackbeards just running around. But what if they're all fused into one body, which works with the multiple souls? He could have been experimented on. We have all this with cloning going on in the current series. So Blackbeard could have been cloned using Zebek's DNA, or Zebek's soul could have been put into him. Could have been experimented on, him and his brother fused together, multiple personalities, multiple souls. There's always the possibility of something there. But we're going to continue on with the Kraken theory of it being, continuing on from that original YouTube video, another god devil fruit, which worked with my thought process, but not for human Hades, but the fish fruit Kraken, who is the god of the sea, or the god of the rain, technically, because in Skypiea, we have been introduced to the idea of different gods, the sun god, the forest god, the rain god, and the earth god. And I'm loving this, because again, I like the idea of the dark fruit. It works with the space theme, especially with the Gorosei's naming and Luffy being the sun. That all works fine. But I'm like, just the dark fruit on its own needs something more to it if it's going to play in with the other themes. And the idea of it being a rain god works so well. But Jessica, you're saying, it's controlled by space. How can it be rain? It's not space. It is the ocean itself. It is the deep darkness of the ocean floor, the gravity that pulls you in, the pressure of the ocean that he is unleashing. And keep in mind, Blackbeard can nullify other people's devil fruits when he touches them and his power is used. Just like a sea prism stone. So it is not darkness, it is not space, it is the depth and darkness of the ocean itself that he is controlling and using. But there are no water devil fruits because the ocean hates devil fruit users. I maintain, why does the ocean hate devil fruit users? My thought process right now is that the Void Century people had created the devil fruit. There may have been original devil fruit. There may have been the original god devil fruits. And then the people of that century during the war harnessed those powers, used their imagination, as described by Vegapunk, and to use as a weapon in the war, which they ultimately lost, but the devil fruit survived. And because the ocean hated them for trying to steal its power, it now rejects them. But this one ocean fruit still exists, but it's rejecting its user. It's angry at the user, which is why, even if it was like a Logia type, it's why Blackbeard cannot become darkness the same way the flame fruit or the magma bastards fruit allows them to become their element. It just kind of coats them. And then, keep in mind, Blackbeard can use this devil fruit so effectively because he can handle a high tolerance of pain, as this devil fruit, when you're attacked with it, the pain is amplified to the user. So it is actively hurting its user because it hates them. I think it works. I think it works. Marco talks about his body being different, which maybe is a reference to that missing species that Big Mom is trying to collect. Maybe similar to whatever special people Kuma's is from. Could be anything. Now I almost want to try to connect the idea of the god devil fruits to the ancient weapons, because again, I like the idea of the devil fruits being created during the time of the Void Centuries War. And just maybe, as we're discussing in the present storyline about trying to create a power source to fuel, so the Mother Flame, which I'm presuming is fueling the ancient weapon, but they haven't been able to create it. The technology has been lost. Same thing with the Iron Giant. The technology to power it is gone. Why is that? What if it's because we never created that power source to begin with? and they were actually fueled by these god devil fruits or some other devil fruits at the time. So if we have like a sun god devil fruit, if we have a rain god devil fruit, if we have a earth devil fruit or a forest devil fruit, that could power these ancient weapons. So I had always thought that Shirahoshi is the Poseidon. We know that Frankie had blueprints to a battleship that was the Pluton. Technically, we know he had blueprints to create a weapon to fight the Pluton. We're assuming is a second Pluton. But for all we know, it's a countermeasure to said Pluton. I've been going through so many theories. But ship, person. So I had always thought that the ancient weapons require a ship and a captain. So what if it's a ship, a captain, and a power source, that power source being the god devil fruit? So it kind of does work, because you have the sun god, which could be, which is essentially the sky, and you have Uranus for that. You have, if there's an earth god, you have Zunichi, the elephant, which is very strong allies with Wano, where the Pluton is, and Momo can hear it. There's like a three-way connection right there between them that could work. But then I'm like, that means if Poseidon is related to the rain god, that means Blackbeard would have to go to get Shirahoshi. He is not allowed to lay a single finger on her. I will need his head for compensation, so I don't want that. And I'm still looking around for other ideas for Krakens that could relate to Blackbeard. I'm thinking in the current storyline, we're talking about this lineage factor, which is essentially DNA. I'm looking at octopus DNA, which they can apparently change the proteins, manipulate their own DNA to produce proteins to survive in cold environments. There's that reference to the cold coming in again. With some superficial digging, I got the Kraken being, in some stories, the product of the eldest titan, Oceanus, something like that, and a sea goddess. Now, the father being from the Titans was the son of Gaia of the earth and Uranus of the sky, and they are said to be a great ocean that wraps around the world. Like, that fits into the One Piece story absolutely fine, and I'm just like, damn. I really want Blackbeard to be a Kraken. Do you know why else I want him to be a Kraken? Because I'm obsessed with the idea of the crew having to go to the underworld, and that's where my thoughts of Hades and Cerberus came from originally. Boring, Jessica. So boring. Predictable. But this is a pirate world. Who would guard the entrance to the underworld other than a Kraken? So they have to fight Blackbeard to get to the underworld. That just works perfect for me, especially if in order to get the true Laugh Tale to fully cross over to get there, you have to actually go to the underworld, which is why Roger had said that they were too early, because they were all still alive. They had to wait till their death to finally get the full One Piece Laugh Tale, whatever is there. Again, I've been diving into so many theories. Regardless, I think he's a Kraken. Yes, love it. Perfect. Beautiful. But I don't think the idea of having 3 hearts is enough to suggest that he can use 3 different devil fruits. For this, I still think the soul is what's important. So I think it just allows him to have the ability to hold 3 souls. And I think this devil fruit is at its most powerful when it's been eaten 3 times. Person's died, brought back, eaten again. So Xebec had it originally before Blackbeard during his fight. Maybe he died, maybe the soul only got passed over once Blackbeard had eaten the devil fruit. Maybe the soul was put directly in Blackbeard, and that's why he was hunting down this devil fruit. Or, like I said, maybe Blackbeard, just being a student of history, picked that devil fruit, didn't realize it came with a soul attached. So who's the other soul? I think before Rox ate the devil fruit, it was belonging to the leader of the Void Century. And for this reason, it explains why Xebec, A, wanted to be the king, because he was the king in his previous soul's life, and he's out for revenge of the people who destroyed his kingdom. So now you have Blackbeard, Xebec, and the leader of the ancient kingdom all sharing the one body, fighting for control being the key. And that's why Blackbeard doesn't sleep. He's worried about someone else taking control while he's asleep, the same way that Cabbage from Dressrosa, every time he sleeps, he goes into that Jekyll and Hyde fighting mode. It also explains how he cannot sleep, because through having multiple souls in the same body, the same way Yorks can sleep for the other Vegapunks, one of the other souls is getting the rest for the body while the other one is active. So that, to me, perfect sense. I'm happy with it. Looking at Blackbeard's actions throughout the series, his personality seems to shift, which works with 3 different people sharing the same body. You have the laughing Blackbeard who's just talking about pie with Luffy in the bar, restaurant, whatever. And then that could be original Blackbeard. Then you have him spouting philosophy in the middle of the streets about following your dreams. Perhaps that is the King of the Void Century. Then you have the menace, terrifying one attacking Ace and fighting Shanks and scarring him. Could easily be Rox. So the different personalities, the switching of the teeth as a hint for something is going on there, I'm perfectly happy with this. Actually, before we get into the examining of Blackbeard's actions in other moments of the series, if they are sharing one body, that means that the original Blackbeard would not have full control and could be afraid of the other personalities. So it might not have even been his decision to betray the Whitebeard pirates. He could have legit been begging for his father's life when Whitebeard is about to punch him in Marineford, and he's like, no, listen, I am your son, reaching out as if to say that someone has taken control of my body. I didn't want to do this. I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight my brothers. And he's being forced to kill his father, to possibly eat his heart. We don't know how he obtained the devil fruit. And to kill his own brothers and to kill Ace. Only for Whitebeard to look at him and be like, you were never my son. Of all my children, you were never my son. You can't be. And for him to have to attack him as if the Whitebeard pirates had not hurt me enough. But regardless, looking at the actions Blackbeard has taken since the disbanding of the Warlords, first he went after Moray, who is theoretically still alive, locked up somewhere that Peronia freed, but didn't just kill him and take the devil fruit, or even if he did, the devil fruit is now in his control. Can resurrect zombies, put shadows in there. So what if the plan is to remove one of the souls and put Zebek back in his own petrified, mummified, frozen, some type of body? Like put him in another body to be separated from Blackbeard's body. And then the ruler of the Void Century can stay in control, something like that. Would not surprise me. The final action he's taken is immediately after the Warlords disbanding, would be going after Boa. Why? Don't get me wrong. The Boa's devil fruit, insanely powerful, but mostly due to her own beauty. Like someone else would not be able to use it as effectively as she can. Certainly not Blackbeard. However, what if there's more to that connection, especially with the power of the ocean fruit and her devil fruit? Because her original inspiration being from Medusa, we know Medusa was a priestess of Athena who was assaulted by Poseidon, the sea god? Coincidence? A little too convenient for my sake. I think there's something there. In addition to that, I'm kind of leaning towards maybe there was a relationship between Vivi's ancestor and the Void Century. Maybe that was her original devil fruit. Hard to say, but I do feel there is some kind of connection between Blackbeard's devil fruit and Boa's devil fruit with the idea of him being a sea god. All right, I think that's all I got. I will talk to you later. Leave your craziest Blackbeard theories in the comments, or the perfectly reasonably logical ones as well. They're just as fun. No, the crazy ones are more fun, but that's fine. All right, I will talk to you later. Bye.